it's Amy here, and today we are going to learn how to master VLOOKUP in Excel. I am so excited to show you all of my tips and tricks along the way, so be sure to stick around. All right, let's nerd out. Okay, so at Amy's Animal Barn and Petco, we have two data sets in this Excel sheet. The first one has the product name and the product code, but we would like to find out the brand associated with those two items. The second data set is the product name and the brand name. So we are going to use VLOOKUP to return the brand name from dataset 2 to dataset 1. Now, the first part of the VLOOKUP formula is the lookup value. Now, this is the value that is common to both tables. In this instance, it is the product name. As you can see, it is in both data sets. The second component to the formula is the table array. Now, this is the table that contains the information that we are looking up, which in this instance is the product name and the brand. So all of these cells here make up the table array in this formula. Now, there are two things that I want to note about the table array. And the first one is that the item that you are looking up, in this instance, the product name, that needs to be in the leftmost column, and that is because Excel works from left to right. Now, the second thing that I wanted to note was that VLOOKUP always looks up or pulls the first value in your table array. So say you have multiple items that are the same that match that lookup value, VLOOKUP is only going to pull that top value. So this is a limit to VLOOKUP, but there is a way around it. And if you do need to find the second, the third, the fourth value, or whichever one you need, then you can check out my other video, which is going to be the VLOOKUP helper cell. The next item is the column index number. And this is the column number in the table array of the information that we are retrieving. In this instance, we are returning the brand name, which is column number 2. The last item is the range lookup. Now, this is defined as true or false. And if it is set to true, then you are going to return an approximate match. In this example, we are going to be looking up this Acana Wild Coast product and returning the brand name. Now, I want this to be an exact match. I don't want this to be Acana and then it returned grasslands. I want it to be the Acana Wild Coast. So that is an exact match that we are looking up. All right, so now that we've got all that hard stuff out of the way, let's pull this together. So here we will go VLOOKUP, and we can just tab to pull the formula. Now, the first item is the lookup value, which, as we mentioned, was the product name. So let's put a comma and move to the array. So here I am now going to select all of the cells within that array, and the next item is the column index number, which, as we had discussed, is going to be 2 to return the brand. And here is that range lookup. And you'll see here we've got the approximate match and the exact match. So as I mentioned, we are going to go with the exact match, which is false. Alternatively, you can just enter a 0 for false and put a closing bracket. Awesome. So look at that. We have the brand name. Now that worked. I'm super happy. So let's just double click here and pull this formula down. Now, you'll notice here that we have some NAs. Now the NA means that the item was not found within this data set. And I know for a fact that it is here because it is the second item from the top. So let's take a look at the formula here and see what's happening. Now, right away, I've noticed that my table array is all the way down here. And that's because when I drag the formula down, that table array changed. So you can see it's E3 to F30, whereas on the first one, it's E2 to F29. So there are two things that we can do to fix that. Now, the first one is if we click in the E2 and press F4, then we have now made both of the row and column an absolute value. I will do the same. Now, if I drag this, double click all the way down, you will see that everything has populated and we don't have any errors. If we select this formula, you'll see that this table array has not moved. Now, the second option is to select all of the values in this table array, go to the Insert tab and select Table. Then you'll see here that it's already highlighted the cells, and yes, my table does have headers. Now we can just call this table brand name, and now when we click over here, back in the formula, we can now highlight this table array. And then if you add rows to this table array or delete them, then you'll see here that now we actually have brand name all. So that is going to always pull all of the values within that table. If we drag this down once more, you will see that everything is pulling correctly and that brand name all is sitting there. All right, so that wraps up this video, and I do hope that I have helped you master VLOOKUP in Excel. I also hope that I have helped you discover your inner nerd along the way. As I did mention, there is that other video that will show you how to look up the nth value in an array formula. So be sure to check that out. I will link it at the end of this video as soon as it is ready. All right, thanks for nerding out. We'll see you again.